Hello, welcome to Black Girl in the World. If you don't know me, you will. And if you do, welcome back. I'm a podcaster, and this is the show I hope you enjoy listening to. I have a guest here with me today. We have been friends for several years now, going to school together and working together. She's super sweet, very funny to be around, super relatable, and about her money. My girl
hmm
Brianna's here. Hey girl, how are you today?
Hey girl, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's a little chilly.
I know, right? My God, it's raining too.
Ah, man. Yeah.
Oh
Raining,
man.
super cold, windy.
Yep.
It's terrible. Well, for this episode, this is sort of like the beginning of cuddling season or like in the middle of it.
Yes.
So this episode we're going to be talking a little bit about sexual health. I know. It's kind of a taboo topic.
Yes, it is. But I'm ready. I love a good time.
Mm,
So anything.
felt. Okay, so let me give y'all a little bit of like backstory on this particular subject. So, in recent news, there was a porn star who is fairly known in the DMV area. And this girl came out and mentioned that she contracted herpes from him, and she did not know until later on. So, of course, if she didn't know and she could possibly be a sex worker, she would still be interacting with other guys without knowing.
hmm
Allegedly, he didn't tell her, and when she asked about a test, he said he would send it, never did. This is unfortunately one of many stories, and a few related to him, and so many others where people are not being honest and creating this unfortunately vulnerable space without protecting. So, what are your like thoughts on that story? Because I remember sharing it with you, but geez.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know too much about it. I will say this, as someone that is HSV positive, a lot of times, um, it's not tested for on the standard panel. So
Mhm.
with regard to his situation, I mean, if he knew and he didn't say anything, then that's obviously ethically and morally wrong. But I
Right.
will say a lot of times that particular herpes particular in particular is not on the standard panel for a lot of, taboo reasons.
Right.
But I mean, that's regardless whether he knew or not, that can be devastating for somebody to learn. And especially if you were trying to be, responsible initially, prior to interacting sexually.
Right.
That's devastating.
It is definitely devastating. And especially with like social media as well, because as the story got bigger and bigger,
Mm,
there were people who also interacted with the same people he was with, and they were like calling each other and saying, "Hey, I was with you this weekend, so that couldn't possibly mean that I have it." And I was talking to my friend the other day, and it was like it's very odd how people are just asking each other if they have it or not, rather than just going
mm.
to get the test.
Get tested. Exactly. And I don't know, what it is about just going out and being tested.
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of lack of education when it comes to sexual health overall.
Yeah.
I remember last year I was actually talking to this guy, and I want to say I'm not talking to him like we were having a conversation, not like romantically, but I was really just having a conversation with him about sexual health,
Mhm.
and I was talking to him about HIV because I was taking a class on it,
Yeah.
and he did not know almost anything correct about it. I was telling him,
Mhm.
if you wear a condom and the person is on their medication, then they're not likely to transmit. And he started
Right.
panicking.
Oh
I'm like,
dear.
hold on, you're having safe sex, so really you don't have anything to worry about. But he was panicking as if he had no idea about how anything would be, transmitted. And granted, this guy is, sexually active. Like he's very proud of it about being sexually active. It's no secret that he's sexually active. So it was kind of scary for me to be talking to him because, about that conversation because he's very much active, yet he has little to no knowledge about how things are really transmitted. So there's definitely a lack of knowledge going on.
Definitely. I 100% agree with you because I think that now, even still to this day, a lot of folks don't realize that even though it's not penetration,
Mm,
yeah, it is. And then you protect yourself in that regard. But if you go down on someone and you're not protected either, um, that does mean it's still raw. If you had a condom and then you went down on her or you went down on him and you didn't have a dental dam or any of those
mm,
things, like you were still exposing yourself. And I think some people don't realize that oral sex is also a way to expose yourself if you're not protected.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, protection is it's definitely almost taboo. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've almost had, a sexual interaction with men, and I'm always the one asking, okay, what about your tests? Okay, what type of condoms? Like they never are the ones to bring it up to me first. Not like saying it's only men, of course. I'm just
Right.
speaking from my personal experience that I've always been the one to initiate the discussion of safe sex. It's never been
Right.
the guy, and it's almost as if you don't bring it up, they don't care. They're again just my experience. They just they don't care to use a condom unless you're asking them. And I'm like, whoa, we both have to protect ourselves here.
Right.
Like we both don't want to be put at risk for something.
Yeah. And I think that it is great that we do have people out there, such as yourself, who bring up those conversations because I don't know if they really could care less or they just genuinely do not know that these are the conversations to have before having any of those activities go on. So I think it is really great that you bring it up and you try to protect yourself and you try to protect other people because it honestly, like you said, like being protected is very taboo. Sex in
Mm-hmm.
itself, sex education is already things that people are not a collective on. And then we have
Right.
like such a, oh, this person knows one thing and then another person knows another thing. And it's just like, we're not having the same type of conversations here.
Exactly. There is definitely a disconnect. There's a
Yeah,
lot of misinformation, there's a lot of stigma. And if you educate yourself, then I promise, like, that's the safest sex, honestly.
yeah,
Aside from like condoms, along with that comes education and even knowing how to use a condom, right? Even knowing not to double a condom up because compromise the integrity of the condom if you put two of them on. And, you know, some people might not even know that,
right,
some people might not know. Maybe you don't want to keep it in your car all the time because that might compromise the integrity of it due to the heat, or
right.
you might want to be checking your expiration dates. There are a
Yeah,
lot of different condoms made out of a lot of different materials, and some of them protect against STIs, and honestly some of them don't. So it's
right.
important that you even read that too, right? There's a
Yeah.
lot of information that people don't pay attention to, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Especially when you brought up like the various ways that the condoms can be ineffective, especially with
Mm-hmm.
just I remember when I was in health class and she was like, "Hey, there are some people who use baby oil as lubricant." And she showed
What?
us that the baby oil literally like popped the condom like in an instant, just like that. And people
Wow.
actually, I'm pretty sure people still do. That was years ago, and
Yes,
I'm pretty sure
absolutely.
that is insane.
That
That
is.
is crazy. And when you don't
That
know,
is.
it's like, oh, it's a liquid, so maybe it works.
Yeah.
But you just have to be so
Yeah.
careful. And especially with our like bodies, like the vagina is no joke. And so
Yeah.
you can't be using just anything to put in somebody. Baby oil?
Absolutely. No
Like,
diddy.
no,
No
not at
diddy.
all. Like, please, baby oil. I think even like some condoms, like they have like I think some people are allergic to them
Yes.
Because you also have to know your partners too. You can just be using any kind of material.
Yeah,
Some scary
it
stuff.
definitely is. It is really scary. And if I may just like add really quickly,
Yeah.
just even with my own personal experience, like I mentioned, I am HSV plus, which is herpes, in case we're not all on the same page here. But the person that I contracted it from, he didn't even, know that he had it. And prior to me being active with him, I did ask him about his results. And I did make the effort to be as safe as I could, but obviously things happen, and according to him, he again didn't know, and he might have not even been tested for it. Otherwise, they would have told him because he did have a recent test before we were intimate. So it's just there's so many nuances that go into it, and sometimes you don't know until somebody close to you has some type of experience, or you have that experience yourself where now you're coming up positive for something and you have to deal with it. So yeah, I mean, if I wasn't positive, I wouldn't know anything about it. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I wouldn't know anything other than what society tells me to know.
Right.
And a lot of the information is, there's just a lot of misinformation, a lot of misconceptions.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
I agree 100%. Actually, thinking about the misconceptions, one of the common ones that I've noticed is
Mhm.
thinking that you have to test when you notice symptoms. And like that's unfortunately
Yeah,
majority of why people
not
show up.
yeah, absolutely. I actually went to get a routine test and I
Hmm.
wasn't having symptoms. I just went because I that was what I did. I always went, at a certain, every 6 months or whatever you want to do for yourself, but I always went, and
Right,
I wasn't expecting anything because I wasn't experiencing anything.
right.
Nothing was happening. So it was yeah, like you're absolutely right. I mean, so many people think that only when you're coughing or itching and burning or having
Mhm.
secretions is when you should go. No, after every sexual partner, even when you're married, right?
Yeah,
You should always,
yes.
just to keep that good bill of health, always just make sure you are tested, just to make sure. Like,
Yep.
no one is accusing you of anything, but just to make sure and be in the know of your body.
Exactly. No matter how old or how young,
Yes.
you have to marry, single. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that because, people, I don't know if people think that as soon as you get married, a lot of things just don't have to happen.
Yes.
But that is definitely something that you need to get regularly because even if you're not interacting with other partners, you can still be infected with something, not like sexually
Yeah.
transmitted, but you could have a yeast infection, you could have a UTI. Like there's so many things that are out there that you just have to be super careful,
Yeah.
especially if like say for instance you wipe from the back to the front. And some folks do that. You yourself, but you need to get tested.
No, honestly, you have a whole staph infection now because you.
Please, like, get tested. It don't matter if you married, single, not having sex, it don't matter. You
Mhm.
need to be tested, seriously.
Absolutely, know your status.
Like it's just I and another common misconception that I've heard is thinking that only certain people should get tested, like the LGBTQ plus community.
Mm-hmm.
And like if you're engaging in multiple partnerships, which is just like I get the idea of it because like it is an increased risk, but that does
Yeah,
not mean that it can't happen to you with you being with your boyfriend for 13 years.
absolutely,
Like,
absolutely. I mean,
no.
and it's really unfortunate because people still think. I mean, just even with regard to HIV, people still think that it's only the gay community. People
Yeah.
still think that you can tell when someone has something, and that is farthest from the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, farthest. Granted, the medication for HIV has come a long way, but
Mhm.
still, you cannot tell what anybody has unless they
Right.
tell you, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, we're def I don't know. I guess it's just the perception of the media and how they viewed it because like you said, like the HIV medication was it has evolved so much where
Hmm.
people can live their normal lives. Like you see in the commercials, people are taking the medication and they're doing their thing, they're going about their business,
Yep.
stuff like
They're
that. It's not
undetectable.
right. And it's exactly. So it's like, wow, like people are going back to the lives that they had before,
Hmm.
and being able to do quote unquote like exercise. The commercials are so funny to me.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that they're showing that because they need to let people know, hey, like this is not something that will debilitate you. You still
Right.
can live a normal life like everyone else.
Yeah.
So I am really happy about that. And um with people being able to just do their own thing and because it's not anyone's fault. And
Hmm.
like you mentioned like earlier, if you did not know, you just didn't know. Like
Exactly.
that's really the most to it. You just simply did not know. But if you know and you go out here purposely,
Yeah,
like
that's a different
people
story
get
for sure.
that is crazy. And
That's a
people can get
different story.
arrested for that.
Yeah, you absolutely can. In certain states, you can be prosecuted for it.
Hmm.
Um, that's absolutely correct. Like, I mean, I can't imagine. Actually, Tashika, I actually just disclosed to someone yesterday, someone like new, and he had a bunch of questions, but he was still like, okay, so when are we gonna do this? And I was letting him know, the stipulations and how we can both protect one another.
Right.
And yeah, like I was just educating him about my situation and where I will see what goes down, Tashika.
Yeah. Okay.
But
I
but
yeah,
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
oh my God,
Look at you. Hold on a second.
please.
Oh, that should go to second base.
Oh my God. Third, fourth, and fifth.
I'm loving that. You're a great person. So, and I'm happy that he asks questions instead of being like, oh, you
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like, we're too
Yeah.
old for that. Please. If you want
Yeah.
to be educated, learn more. You're a great person. And I mean, what you're saying isn't a lie. If he thought that she was lying, then you need to go to your doctor and ask the questions.
Exactly.
Like, but I'm happy that you felt comfortable enough to disclose that with him.
Hmm.
So I love it. I love it. Let me
Yes,
know how that goes.
I will.
Oh my gosh. But actually, speaking of that, I remember when I was working and I was on the phone with this person who was fairly distraught because she ended up getting either HIV or AIDS. I'm not completely sure. But she contracted it from this person who she confided in a lot. I guess like a former boyfriend or whatever, and he swore up and down he didn't have it. Girl, tell me
Hmm.
why she said that there was like, you know how they have like different communities and they come
Hmm.
together, or I think it was like some dating app set for
Oh,
people
okay.
who had it
Specifically
as
for
well.
that.
Right.
Hmm.
One or the other. But it was a community targeted to people who had either HIV or AIDS. I'm not entirely sure. And she said she saw that man's profile on there. She was so pissed. Like he knew he had it and swore up and
Mm.
down that he did not have it. He was very much invested in the community, very much
Mm.
involved, and then try to make it seem like he did not know. And I felt so bad for her because she wanted to get an attorney because this is like, you know what I mean?
No, like yeah.
Like you stole something from me, essentially. You weren't
Yeah.
being honest. And
Right.
yeah. I think I
And
spoke,
that's
yeah.
unfortunate. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, no. It just anytime like I think of this type of like conversation, I'm always thinking of that story because it's like people are out here who really do not care.
What always confuses me about HIV is well, people that have it is there's medication and it's accessible.
Mhm.
You can be undetectable, which means you can have safe sex without transmitting. And so
Mhm.
that's where my disconnect is, because I'm wondering, how does that even happen, where not only are you not disclosing, but are you also not taking your medication? And then at the same time, if you're not taking your medication, you're also putting yourself at risk, because it's if you don't take it, it's deadly for you, right? Like it's,
Right.
I mean, you can unfortunately pass away. So
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Luckily, I mean, one thing I will say about having herpes, like, the medication that's for us, it literally only suppresses our outbreaks, which is literally just like sores, and it's commonly known as cold sores, which, just PSA, cold sores are HSV. It doesn't matter if it's HSV one or two. Like, people really need to educate themselves. Like, cold sores are herpes, okay? Please.
Yep.
Regardless, if it's a cold sore, it's herpes. Okay. But it literally just suppresses the outbreak. But the good thing about it is I'm not going to die, like, not from herpes. And I don't have to take the medication to live. So I mean,
Mhm.
I really feel for people that do have HIV, because, like, that's rough. If you one day you go from not having to take a pill, or, take the shot or whatever type of medication, to now this day for the rest of your life, that can definitely be taxing. But at the same time, if you want to protect yourself and the next person, considering how far the medication has evolved, I don't
Right.
understand why you wouldn't be doing that. That's
Exactly.
my only, you know, disconnect with that. Why would you not do your best to protect your partner? You know,
Yeah.
I protect my partners. Listen,
You have to. You have to
yeah,
consider people. And I think that people can be so selfish. It's like it's one thing if
yeah,
you don't know and you're misinformed, but it's another thing if you just want to stay misinformed.
yeah,
You have to want to know information and take care of yourself and take care of the folks around you. Keep people,
absolutely.
the folks, keep your homeboys educated. Let them know.
Yeah,
Because you want to do the activity, but you don't want to go into the things that make it right, you know? So
mm,
it's like, ugh, I don't understand it. I really don't get it.
yeah. I don't either. I do understand there's so much shame and stigma that comes with it, and
Yeah,
I can understand why somebody might not want to disclose, but at the same time, again, you know, it's important to keep yourself protected and to protect your partner regardless. And at the very least, you should be taking your medication to make sure that you're undetected, and to make sure that you can't, transmit. At the very least, you should be, just protecting yourself. I don't understand that. It's
yeah.
unfortunate.
It's protecting yourself regarding taking your medication, protecting yourself also with regular testing as well, because
Right.
you can catch the infections early if you are consistent with testing yourself. And I mean, CDC is saying test yourself every year, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's what they saying. I don't know entirely, but they said at least once a year. And if you like have multiple partners and you're in like the like higher risk groups, then
Mm-hmm.
you have to do it more often. But like for just a person who's like casually here and there, or they don't really have sex, like they're not really sexually active, and they do recommend doing it once a year, at least to keep yourself updated.
Yeah,
But it's so crucial. I think people have to just be so careful because getting the early testing is exactly what it is. You can catch something before it gets worse because when you do search up these STDs and STIs, like they lead to something else. It could be liver damage, it could be the simple fact
mm-hmm.
that you can't have children, it could be so many things. So if you just had like maybe a mild odor or discharge or whatever the case may be, girl, you need to get that. You need to get checked. Like,
Yes.
seriously. Or if you know that you were getting raw dogged or you went down on somebody or whatever, or nothing at all, because people, it's very, very scary. it's terrifying. People can make it seem like you had protected sex with someone and they take the condom off with you. Like
That's
you just
actually
have to
happened to me before. And I
really,
didn't know that he took it off. Yeah, I didn't know. And I mean, that was before I was positive, but I mean, and that guy, he didn't ask me about my status either. Like I said, that was before I was positive,
yeah,
but at the same time, it's like you don't know what's going on with somebody else. And he didn't ask me if he could do that. He just took it off on his own. I literally had no idea that he did that until the end. But I mean, I don't know.
yeah. No, there are no words after a while. You just realize how dirty people can be. Like just they are out to harm folks. And they don't even like realize just how much damage. Like they either don't care or they really don't get it. Like the concept is just not there to understand that that is basically considered, you know, no longer consensual.
Mhm.
You did not consent to that particular situation. So it's just like having to be in a position like that is just it's really sad. And I'm so sorry that happened to you.
No, it's okay. It was a while ago. So I confronted him though, and he really didn't have much to say about it. But I definitely was like, hold on, like why would you even do that
Yeah,
without even saying anything to me?
yeah.
Like,
I'm glad you also told him because that's not cool. That's not cool at all. But I do definitely like appreciate this mini talk about, um testing and a few of the common misconceptions. Is there anything else that you wanted to share or like some tips or just some supportive words for folks who might be scared?
I can get let's do tips and support. So one tip is definitely if you're someone that gets tested regularly, just make sure you're being tested for everything. It's not only three things that you need to be concerned about. Okay, there are like about 5 to 7 things that you need to make sure you're being tested for. Sometimes doctors will argue with you. Honestly, they will. If you're not symptomatic, they might argue about whether or not they want to give you that particular test, but just hold your ground, advocate for yourself, and push on to get that test. And support if you're someone that is recently diagnosed or have been diagnosed with something for a long time and you're still needing help or words of encouragement, you can definitely reach out to Tashika and she'll reach out to me and maybe we can get connected. Or I would say just keep going. Like healing is not linear.
Yeah,
And one day you might be accepting, and the next day you might think, dang, how could I have been so stupid or how could I have made that mistake? But at the end of the day, as far as we know, for real, we have this one life and
right,
we have to live our best in the life that we have right now. We can't wait for another life to come because that's not guaranteed.
right.
So live your best life now while you have it and just keep showing up for yourself, honestly, because it takes time. Like acceptance takes time.
Yeah. Yes, those were really kind words and great support. I love it. I love it. And yeah, seriously, definitely like reaching out in terms of if you're feeling scared or nervous about anything. Because another thing I wanted to add is some people also don't realize that the medical records are supposed to be confidential. Like what you
Mhm.
speak to about your doctor is what you speak to about your doctor. And sometimes even younger folks, even like me, like there were certain things that my doctor would ask me after 18 and he'd ask, "Oh, are you sexually active?" I'm looking at him like, "No, why would I?" Because, you just feel like even if you're not doing anything, you feel nervous that your parents might look at your
Mhm.
files or something, but you realize like HIPAA laws exist. You know?
Yes, they do.
Like, even with as soon as you transition to college, like your parents have nothing to, they cannot take your school records out like they would like in high school or elementary school. You are protected. You're supposed to be anyway.
Yeah,
So I think with that, if people are fearful of, I don't want my husband to see it, I don't want my wife or my boyfriend or, whomever, these are your records. These are things that are supposed to be confidential. And if they're not, there are laws in place for you to sue if someone decides to expose your information, because that's not what's supposed to happen. But regardless of,
absolutely.
yeah, so regardless of any of that, you should definitely test. Your
Hmm.
secret's safe with you and your doctor and whomever saw them records in between that.
Exactly.
But yeah, so but thank you so much,
Thank
Brianna, for
you.
just being here. I love you
Yeah, thank
though.
you for the opportunity. Love you too, girl. Let me know.
Okay, so thanks everyone for taking the time to listen to our episode. Share, subscribe, and comment. Also, check out the other episodes if you haven't already. All right, this is our time. Bye, everyone.